Hey, it's now the 6th of December, which is a Wednesday. There's the calendar, Dereck. Look at it. There it is. Cheers. 3 days in a row. Mmm. Mmm. Yum. Mmm. So, greetings, folks. I just got up. Just got up. And I thought today I'll do something a little bit different. I usually get up before I start my video and have a variety of things to do. And one of the things I do is I review what remarks were left overnight. And let me do that now on camera because I usually don't. Let's see. Yes, okay. Okay. Very good. I don't have to remove anything. I only had to remove one comment yesterday from someone who, I don't know why people think, well, I do know why, because we're all different. I'll speak on that before I end the video unless I forget. So let's do this now because some people want to hear what I have to say. And I have something, not much to say, but I will say rest in peace to Denny Lane of the Moody Blues, the singer of their first hit, Go Now. And then he was in the Wings. I don't have any Paul McCartney and Wings records. I have some singles, but rest in peace, Denny. What I can honestly say is he seemed like he was probably a decent chap, as they say, probably a decent chap. So may he rest in peace. Some folks have left a couple of notes. People want to hear from me, I don't want to talk about people if I don't want to talk about them, And yes. Someone asked me about the refugee band. I don't recall you mentioning either band. Of course, I've mentioned both the Nice and Refugee. I have the Nice and I have Refugee, yes. But I've been making videos, a couple thousand videos, I know some people have actually watched all the videos, but you can go back and watch, and there's a lot of stuff that I've talked about. People ask me about it, I've already talked about it. So rest in peace, Denny Lane. What I want to speak about, I have some records here, but I watched some more documentaries yesterday after I was done with my work for the day. I may eventually convince Hank to share what he's working on. It's a private project for a hospital. I think the man is in some ways kind of saintly, especially considering what he's been through, and surviving, just so many things. And he's a good-hearted person. We're working on an audio gift to a local hospital that he really feels strongly about, that they've done some good things. And they have, actually. It's one of the local hospitals. I won't say their name, they're not in the news. And that's a good thing because they're too busy doing their job. So that's what that's about. We're getting somewhere. But I watched a couple more documentaries. I don't know if I saw the one on the Eurythmics that someone mentioned, but I watched a documentary on the Eurythmics. And I had the album by the Tourists, Luminous Basement, I think it was it. I like it. I might still have it. I might. But I noticed their first album, Eurythmics, in the garden at Jackie Liebezeit can was on it. And for that reason alone, I bought it when it came out. I was unimpressed and I sold it like right away. But in terms of pop music, they were good. And why the Annie Lennox solo song? I really like that song. I also love how she had the, she paired herself with Aretha Franklin and pulled it off. That's to me very impressive. But the other um, documentary I watched that I really have never seen this before was on Joy Division. I need to talk about them for a minute. I do, because I don't know that I've ever talked much about Joy Division, but Joy Division are actually pretty important in my personal history. They are the band that caused me to start the band Digital Sex, which historically for me is an accomplishment. We were one of the bands in the early '80s that helped to establish Nebraska internationally, and my band was one of the bands that helped other local bands start to take themselves more seriously instead of always relying on gimmicks to get people's attention. My only gimmick was the word sex. I knew that if I used the word sex, people would pay it, would want to know, and it worked. But see, I've just always been plugged into the music of the real expression. Like anybody else, I like entertainment, but I like, because I was raised by musicians and got to be in their company in many different situations, and the jam sessions, those were revelatory. To be able to experience as a small child the absolute ecstasy of live music being made, um, so thrilling, and good entertainment doesn't compare when somebody is bearing their soul, or really being able to dump emotions through their performance, or they just hit a vibe that really resonates with people. That's the stuff that's always informed me and excites me about music. I'm not about entertainment. And so when punk as a social trend happened, I was already into the music. When I heard the Sex Pistols, I said, this isn't punk rock. When I heard the Damned, I said, that's punk rock. When I heard the Ramones, I said, yeah, well, I get it. But they were like, no, this is pop music. This is surf music. So as the whole deal developed in the late 70s into the 80s, I read religiously Sounds, New Musical Express, and those are the two that I remember right away. There was more papers, and then the Americans papers, Option and other stuff, Cream. I would always look specifically in the indie charts to see what they were talking about. And Joy Division, they first were Warsaw, but what I read about them caught my attention. Something about the way they were talked about caught my attention, as well as the name of the band. I caught on right away, really, that they changed from Warsaw to Joy Division. There are these Nazi references, and I knew that was punk of them. They're trying to get up people's snouts. They're not Nazis, for heaven's sake. So I had not the original Warsaw with the drawing on it, but I had the original Ideal for Living that Rob Gretton, their manager, got them to re-release. He said, get rid of that cover. I had one. Sold it for good money. When I sold the Punk, I got good money for it at the time. Not that long ago, got this reissue. And this is Tony Wilson, who started Factory Records. In the documentary said it. He saw them at a talent show or a talent night. And he said it. Every other band was up there trying to be rock stars. Joy Division were up there because they didn't have a choice. They had to do this. I recognize that in music. And that's part of what motivates me to make music. I have to. And it came across when I finally heard this. This is really raw, but you can feel it. You can feel it. And Ian Curtis's voice was a vehicle. It was a strong. That was a strong voice. They very definitely, this album, Unknown Pleasures, this is not a see-through version, but this is one of the early pressings. I bought this as soon as it got to Omaha, as soon as it got here, because I was, like I do still to this day, complain to the record stores, can you get this? Will you get this? Do you guys know about this? So they got this as quick as they could, but it's not a red, the ones that you can see when you hold up to the light. But this is an early pressing. And when I heard this, this was what this motivated me, because it is sophisticated and raw at the same time. And punk too. There's a depth to what's going on here in the sound. Like, you folks that know the story know that Joy Division hated the sound of this album because Martin Hackett took liberties and did a lot of stuff that he wanted to do that the band had never really recorded, so they didn't know. So Martin Hackett did all kinds of stuff to create this spooky sound, which I'm personally glad that he did. It totally inspired Digital Sex, my band. We weren't inspired to sound like them, but the simplicity of the music let me know I can do this. And we did cover the band, Inner Zone, off of this album we used to do. I think we did She's Lost Control too. But then after that, when New Order started, we covered a bunch of New Order. I like the way that New Order started, and as they became bigger, and it's just, I started to lose interest. Interestingly to me, and I'll share this because I can. For a long time, I couldn't listen to this album because when this came out, I forget the chronology. If Ian Curtis was dead already, I don't think so. But when this came out, it was obvious to me. It's right there in our faces, and it's right there in front of you people, and you don't see it. You know what I mean? He was on his way out. And it makes sense to me that he killed himself on the eve of the American tour knowing he couldn't face it. That's not what he wanted. He didn't want to be a star. He didn't want that. But he had something. He had something that resonated. It was very rawly human. This album is really deep and dark, and I don't listen to it. But this is really something. This is quite a piece of work. The other thing that I'll share is that shortly after this came out, my dad committed suicide. And that's a whole story in and of itself. It sure is. Magnificent song, Love Will Tear Us Apart. Magnificent. The graphics are perfect. The simplicity of the black. I love that about Factory Records and 4AD, the way that they would present things. It would just, it just put it into context in a way that words don't. This is a great song. And we played this. We did cover Love Will Tear Us Apart. So it wasn't She Lost Control. We did this, Love Will Tear Us Apart. I have recordings of us doing these songs. That's this Transmission. Oh, I had the factory sampler. I did. The silver cover thing with Dereck Coleman in. When I got it, it really turned me on the song digital. I played it till it was white. And when I sold it at this was one that I sold because of religion. But it was hard to do and I didn't want to. But my copy was actually ruined. I had played it so much that it was white. And I apparently played it on a bad needle. But I still remember this. The person who bought it from me knew what he was getting, saw that it was damaged, but bought it anyway. I still asked for a decent price for it. That's a record that I regret selling. I do. I wish I still had it in my possession. But here's another one, Transmission, Novelty. There's just something really great about these songs. And in this, the U.S. release of She Lost Control and Atmosphere, both songs, Walk in Silence. And this version of She Lost Control is killer. Just killer. Yeah. Important band in my life. And then this, wrapping it up still. There are several versions of this. I don't have the Super Deluxe. I bought this as soon as it came out. So you can see the time on the paper, how it's discolored it. And so I enjoyed the documentary, although it's kind of tragic in a lot of ways. But thought I'd share that this morning. Okay, when I pulled that, the Joy Division, what's next to it? Some of these might. Joyful Noise. After Joy Division, Joyful Noise. This isn't psychedelic, this is pop. It's pretty good though. Look what else I have. Journey's first album. Their first two albums are a combination of fusion and rock. And they're pretty good. This is a good album. Jostaberry, who I met through the internet. Haven't really met him in real life, but bought this album. This is really good. He doesn't sound like Todd Rundgren, but I'll use that as a reference. He's multi-instrumentalist. He seems to have a good grasp of melody and chords. Seems to be, appears to be a multi-instrumentalist with good skills. That's a good album. And this is another thing that was sent to me by the label, Nathan Johnson in the End. Strange picture on the cover. And this is this label, Low Bit Landscapes. The name of the label is correct because this music is kind of like, it's kind of like inconsequential. It's like this album doesn't really do anything. It starts what it does, and then it does it, and then that's it. You kind of wonder sometimes why records like this even get released. Can't imagine anybody buying this. Did anybody buy this? So, cheers, people. So yesterday I only but decided to remove one comment yesterday from yesterday's video. There's people who, for some reason, for their reasons, through their filters, see what I'm saying as partisan when I bring up politics. I'm not partisan. I'm not a Biden supporter. I don't think he's a good president. We don't have any good choices. What I'm pointing out is the absolute disaster and psychopath that Donald Trump is. That's all. That's all. It's real obvious to me, from my perspective, things are horrible now, but what little bit of raggedy ass democracy we have now, he, he and his people want to just minority rule. We got the money, we got the power. Fuck all of y'all. We think people are trash. I mean, that's what they're saying. It's like, they think that black people and brown people are the scum of the earth, and that we're to blame for all of their problems. And it's just if Trump gets back in office, it's not it's a bad thing. It's bad now. But I'm not partisan, okay? I'm just pointing out the obvious, and I'll continue to, okay? No one's going to be telling me that's enough about Trump. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. This is some sad fucking times, people. And it's just really sad that we're at this point where people are so numb, dumb, or compromised that this is what's going on. I think about my friends who just have had children in the last year or two. My God, what's it going to be like when they're adults? And that's what I'd be thinking about when I rail about, racist, power mad Republicans. And I know that all politicians are compromised because they have to pay the piper. So not only the Democrats but the Republicans are in the military-industrial complex's pocket. Okay, the thing that I see about Trump is that Trump is enthralled to dictators, and that's what he wants to be. We don't need that. It's bad. Like I said, it's bad enough as it is. So I will not be quiet about my opinion about world events and about politics. The fact that someone comes over here and complains about it tells me I'm on the right track. You don't want to know, do you? Okay. A little bit more about music, because I sure hope that everything stays all right, because I bought some more records yesterday. I'll show them in a second, but I'm going to show you a couple of records that I pulled last night just looking for stuff to play. This is a playground for me. It is. It's like, I am so happy. Yes, okay, let me keep going. I'll go till I'm done. So I was listening to a NPR report on psychology recently where they were saying the country is experiencing a loneliness epidemic. Are you folks lonely? Is that why you watch me? Are you lonely? Am I lonely? I'm glad I know about loneliness. Loneliness is a train, more than anything. Loneliness is a train of thought that feeds an emotional state. Okay, being alone is not being lonely. Lonely is a frame of mind. As most of you people know, you can be lonely in a crowd. You can be lonely in your family. You can be lonely in your marriage. It's a frame of mind. So I am not lonely. I don't get lonely. I used to when I was young, before I understood. If I really need company, I can have company. But I'm the sort of person that when I have company, I get to a certain point and say, okay, that's enough. Y'all need to leave. I've had enough. Get out of here. And that's everybody, including my family, people I really love. It's like, okay, that's enough. I was like this as a kid. I'm still the same. It's, I had enough of you motherfuckers. Get out of here. Get out of my room. I'm going somewhere to get away from you. I'm not lonely. It's a frame of mind, and it's something that something you don't have to feel. Just like, I won't say your name, but in the comments, I've been talking about some psychology things, and someone has said how the tapes from your past and the messages that you get that build up like crust on you, it's hard to change, but you can. And so that's what I'm here to say. what that person said is what everyone says. Oh, it's hard. But the other part is that it can be done. You can change your frame of mind to one that's more healthy. You can be happy. So, so I'll talk about things as I feel necessary. No one's censoring me. Here's an amp. An amp is the name of the band. I was thinking it might be time to sell it. No, I'm keeping everything on the album. The Cranky label, out of Chicago. Good label. This is not shoegaze. It's not dream pop. It's kind of ethereal, slow moving ethereal. Kind of nice, but I have to come back to it because it got to a point where it's like this isn't taking off. But I'm not selling it. I'm keeping that. Something else that I played as I was pulling that, it was in the same spot. Anal Magic with Reverend White Frizzell. Beyond the Black Crack. No, that's not pornographic. That's people there. It's just a butt. Don't get sprung, people. This is one of those records where I would read about it and hear about it and see it, and it had kind of a reputation for being something that you either really want to hear or you want to know about. And that's just, in the long run, that's just a hype. This is the sound of people just messing around. I have a lot of tapes like this. I'm keeping this for collectability of it. The whole story is in here. But I've done a lot of stuff like this, with other musicians as well, in live settings, and I have a lot of recordings where we're just being, look at him, you see? I know that frame of mind where we're just being, not just being, but we're feeding that part of our soul, which is kind of just what we just want to just do what we want to do and just be real. So that's a keeper, but it's not interesting. It rambles, and there's a lot of horn playing and sounds of what's happening around them at the time. That is kind of cool to listen to. I like field recordings. The sound of real life mixed in with ideas. I like that. But I will share that I went to Recycled Sounds. A lot of times Recycled Sounds doesn't have much of what I want, but then he'll have surprises. And Stuart, let me just get all these things out as they come. Stuart runs the shop, and I've known him for a while. Worked with his mother on a board of directors for the Mental Health Alliance here in Nebraska years ago. So anyway, I go to visit Stuart because he got in something that he thought that I was interested in. I'll show it in a minute. But while we're in the store and talking, Stuart is real chatty. You guys who from Omaha know Stuart. If you don't know how to handle him, he'll trap you, and he'll, but I know how to handle him because I know his family, his background. So I just even have told him, okay, that's enough. Stuart, can you shut up for a while? Fuck. And he responds like this because he's anyway, a while back I had shown you folks when Now and Then came out that I got 3 of the 4 7-inches. The black vinyl 7-inch didn't arrive, but when I went out to Recycled yesterday to pick up this special order, it is a special order. He had them. He had a couple of black vinyls. I don't need it, but I wanted it. So now I have a complete set. Well, actually, I don't have a complete set. Well, it is a complete set because the Spotify thing, that's bullshit. There's a 10-inch version of this that's only available to people who use Spotify. I hate Spotify. So I think that's bunk, but I have all these and the 2 12 inches for my collection. what he got for me, well, I saw it, in one of his updates a while back, and I said, I don't remember seeing that. And since Carla Bley's death, this was on my radar because it was one of the albums she made that almost crossed over the Nick Mason album she made. So I went out and picked this up. The box set of Nick Mason Unattended Luggage, 3 of his solo albums packaged together. It's a very nice box, nice textured paper. Almost feels like cloth or leather almost. The album that I wanted out of these 3 is the first one, Fictitious Sports. When it came out, I didn't like it because I didn't get it. There's a sense of humor here that I just didn't care about. He has all these people I love. Robert Wyatt is the main voice. Chris Spedding on guitar. Carla Bley. Most of these compositions are hers, but I wasn't listening for that. I was wanting to hear something. Michael Matler, Howard Johnson, Steve Swallow. What a band. So after her passing, it's like I was looking at my Carla Bley selection and says, yeah, if I come across this, I want to get this. And then I saw that update from Stuart, and he said he could get it because this came out in 2018. This is not a new release. I can appreciate the album more now. I listen to it, and I appreciate it now. And it's kind of quirky. It's way cool that it's Nick Mason playing with these guys. Of course, he's knew these people all along. Soft Machine and Pink Floyd started out at about the same time. These other 2 records, which I went ahead and played, of the 2, I like this one. I'm not sure why he decided to work with this guy, Rick Fenn. He's talented, multi-instrumentalist. That one's okay. This one, White of the Eye, my first impression is not very good. But I'll come back to it. It's like there's a reason that Nick Mason worked with him. And Nick Mason, being Mr. Pink Floyd, has that advantage of finance. He can do what he wants. He's rich, and he's got the track record with Pink Floyd, so he can make records with whoever he wants to. But I'm glad I got that. And the other things that I got that I didn't order and was surprised that Stuart got them because Homer's doesn't even bother. The finally released on vinyl Steve Hackett albums from way back. Dark Town. I don't have all of Steve Hackett's albums. He's got a bunch. But this is one that I was never able to get. So I heard this for the first time yesterday. And I love that about Steve Hackett, that he will follow his muse and do exactly what he's thinking. So there's elements of drum and bass on here, subtly. And there's the really grand, beautiful tracks on here, the classical guitar pieces, and then there's the love songs, the poppy love songs, which some of his poppy love songs I don't care for, and there's a couple on here, it's like, I skipped it, okay? And the other album that he got in, I love this album, Guitar Noir, finally on vinyl. When this came out, I got it right away in the 90s. Played it a lot when it came out. This was like, take these jewels. I can just hear it in my mind now. His singing had improved, but his compositions are great. And it's got a etching on the 3rd side. So, quite frankly, I'm tapped out. But at the same time, I'm glad that I'm working with Hank Red because that is a job. Yes, he's paying me. So all of the cancellations when they happen, there's a real effect, because when I work, I get paid. He's canceled a lot. But thank goodness for that. That'll help cover. Okay, 34. This is a long video. Share your thoughts with me, folks. Family out in California, family wherever you are. I love you, and I hope that things are going well for you. hoping that Kareem's new job is treating him right. Okay, people. As my birthday partner says, we're not the same age, but the same birthday. Ringo Starr. Peace and love. Peace and love.